As many are aware by now, there's many fake flat earthers on YouTube. And definitely this individual, Fake Jake, who showed up late in the scene. As many know, I started making flat earth videos back in 2015. And I knew he was an infiltrator from the very start, showing up late in the game. And again, trying to infiltrate. Out of Fake Jake's own mouth, take a listen to what he says here when he first showed up on the scene.
I'm the real guy that infiltrated this movement.
So again, he says it out of his own mouth. Not only that, through signs and symbols. Take a look here with his own avatar, the sign of Baphomet, obviously, as you see here. And just take a look at the two fingers together. Again, all about signs and symbols. And obviously the goatee, just like the goat of Mendez or Baphomet. Clear as day, this person just did not show up organically. He's a plant. Now take a listen here as Fake Jake tries hard to debunk God's created flat earth with the circling sun. And this is going to be one of the easiest debunkings ever. First off, let's listen to Fake Jake try to explain away the circling sun and perspective. Absolutely unbelievable. This guy is a complete imbecile. Let's get right to it.
I don't believe in an AE map with a singular circling sun and a singular circling moon because it is provably wrong. I believe in what we can prove. I believe in what I see. And what I see is a sun that rises from the horizon. I see a sun that sets back into the horizon.
I'm going to stop right here. What this absolute imbecile does not understand, everywhere you are on this world, this flat world we live on, it depends on where you're located, on how the sun is going to set, how the sun's going to rise. We'll get more of that. Let's continue.
One of the biggest lies ever told on the flat earth is that the sun isn't setting, it just appears that way because it's moving away from you. And the sun isn't really rising, it just appears that way because of perspective. It's actually just coming at you. And the whole thing is just perspective.
That goes along with perspective showing a sun level of, across the level earth going away.
The reason why this is one of the biggest lies ever told on the flat earth is because we don't see the sun get smaller and smaller and smaller and shrink into a dot. That only exists on that one YouTube video. If you go watch the sun set in person, you will see it get big and orange and then merge into the horizon. So this notion that these street lights are all at the same distance above the earth and they only appear to be merging into the horizon due to perspective, yeah, that is correct. But that's not the same thing that's happening with the sun.
Let me explain what this complete imbecile does not understand. Let's get right to it. When it comes to God's created flat earth, first off, let's take a look at this model, as I've shown many times in the past, with the circling sun around the equator. Let's take a quick look. And obviously, the sun on the equator is circling over Africa right here. It's right above it. And obviously, as it makes its way above Ecuador on the equator, obviously, the sun itself never goes directly over the U.S. It circles around it. That's why people in the U.S. do not see the sun setting away from them, going towards the Pacific. That's because it's making the circular path around the flat earth. This is very simple to understand. Now, as I've demonstrated in the past, when it comes to the equatorial region, there's only 2 seasons. That's because the sun only travels through the equatorial region. It's that very simple. From the Tropic of Cancer to the Tropic of Capricorn, it does not go towards Antarctica like Fake Jake claims. Just like he showed here, and he stole this from a Glober. Glober made a video back in 2015 or 16 claiming the sun makes this path, and Fake Jake took it as his own. Absolutely not. Now let's take a look here. As Fake Jake in his video presentation shows the sun setting, so-called setting, going towards the right. And this is very easily explained. Let's take a look at the sun setting in San Francisco. Obviously, the sun is going towards the right. It's not moving away from us. It's circling to the right, like I showed here in this video. As you can clearly see, it's circling just like you see. Now, let's take a look at the sun setting in Africa. Obviously, it's going towards the horizon, directly towards the horizon. And this is very easily explained. And obviously, it's shrinking. Okay, this is very easy to understand once you look at what's happening here. Obviously, here is the equator, and the sun travels directly above Africa. So say, for example, someone's standing here and they're looking at the sun. Obviously, it's moving away, unlike in San Francisco, where it's circling. This is so very easy to understand. So you cannot just cherry pick and use one model of the sun as its quote setting. The sun never actually sets. This is a different perspective that you're seeing here because you're at a different location and the sun appears different depending where you're located on the flat earth. Now let's take a look here at Dubai in this region here. Again, the equator, it's kind of hard to see, but this line here is the Tropic of Cancer. Now let's take a look at this video from Dubai. Same thing as Africa. You're going to see the sun. There's a bit of glare, obviously, but you're going to see it moving away, and that's because, once again, the sun is over the equatorial region. That's why it's not doing the circle like I showed around the Golden Gate Bridge. This is moving away. Like I said, you see a bit of glare, but that glare is going to dissipate as you watch the sun go directly towards the horizon. I'm going to move this forward a bit just for the sake of conserving time. You're going to see the sun getting smaller and smaller and smaller going towards the horizon. This is obvious. For anybody that has eyes to see, you cannot cherry pick like Fake Jake and claim the sun does not get smaller when obviously we see here in Dubai it's shrinking and shrinking as it moves away. Obviously proving the circling sun and a local sun. And just keep watching as the sun makes its way and obviously getting smaller and smaller and smaller as it moves towards the horizon and basically vanishes out of sight. Getting to that point right now. So this obviously debunks Fake Jake's notion that the sun does not shrink, it does not get smaller, and he tries to debunk perspective. And there you go. Above the horizon, the sun is vanishing, is meeting the vanishing point. So this destroys Fake Jake and his nonsense garbage and his imbecile followers that believe every word he says. And he's, again, just cherry picking here with this one particular sunset. Okay, this is from the United States. More than likely, this doesn't happen, again, in Dubai, Middle East, or anywhere on the equatorial region. Goes right over your head, just like you see here as well. From Ecuador, take a look here as you see the sun once again making its way towards the horizon, obviously. And it gets smaller and smaller. But notice one thing, you do not see the sky getting darker as the sun disappears. Because due to perspective, the sun is going out of sight. But again, the sky remains completely lit as you see here. You're going to see the sun completely disappear and the sky remain the same. Doesn't get any darker. Again, because it's below the horizon. The horizon obviously is not physical. It's just what we see from our perspective. And this is the vanishing point. And again, the sky did not change in color, did not get darker. It's illuminated the same exact way as the very beginning when the sun was visible. Now, another example on the equatorial region with the sun setting towards the horizon. And obviously the sun is getting smaller. So again, Fake Jake is easily debunked with all these examples I'm giving, his nonsense cherry picking, and the blind leading the blind basically when it comes down to it. And there you go. Obviously getting smaller. So I already covered Ecuador with the sunset, obviously. Also Africa and Dubai, the very northern part of the Tropic of Cancer. Now let's take a look at Northern Australia, specifically with the city of Darwin. And just take a look once again, as you're going to see the sun sets towards the horizon and obviously shrinks. It gets smaller. So what does Fake Jake and his gullible followers have to say about this? Obviously, the sun is shrinking in the distance. This 100% debunks Fake Jake once again. And obviously, like I stated, when it comes to the Bible verse as well, proves the Bible how the sun works as a circuit, as the sun circles above clearly, as this model, as I demonstrated earlier, proven not only in this model, but proven in the real world without a shadow of a doubt. And as it states clearly from Genesis 1:16, and God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. So if you claim there's more than one sun or one moon, you're obviously not a Bible believer. And this is what this channel is all about for Bible-believing Christians. And just take a look here, as I show many times regarding the firmament or the dome from Job 37:18. Have you with him spread out the sky, which is strong and as molten looking glass. Obviously, the biblical firmament, as you see here. And another important aspect, as the sun circles above, obviously, you have the dome in play, which obviously spreads out the light. So there's a major factor with the dome in play and how the sun interacts with the dome. In conclusion, I completely demolish Fake Jake's nonsense and his claim how perspective doesn't work. It all has to do with where you're at on the flat earth. And obviously, he's showing just one example where I showed many. You do get this with certain situations, obviously in California, for example. But when you're in other locations, the sun is going away from you. So let me be very clear about that. But in the end, Fake Jake is exposed once again as a fraud, as a liar, as an infiltrator, like he says out of his own mouth.
I'm the real guy that infiltrated this movement.
Another one bites the dust.
John chapter 9, verse 25. Whereas once I was blind, now I can see. Now I can see. Now I can see.